Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to Stained Glass Playhouse for our final week of October Lives. This week we are going to be focusing on makeup. I'm back at home and away from the Playhouse again. Um, so, coming to you live from my house. Tonight we're going to talk a little bit about stage fighting makeup, which would be bruises or um, bruises or um, road a little bit of road rash, black eyes, stuff like that. I'm also going to go through and show you some ways, some cheaper ways to make some more of your own at home types of makeup. I'm going to teach you guys how to make your own blood. So that while Ben Nye blood is stage blood is wonderful stuff and I love it to death, sometimes you just don't have $10 to drop on a bottle of blood this big. You know what I'm saying? Um, so, teach you how to make some of your own blood. I'm also going to teach you how to make your own scar wax, which is a lot easier than you would think. I'm also going to go through and show you a couple of necessities for what you would need to get started for some of this. You don't need a whole lot of money to start, but I'll also go into if you get into more advanced type of stuff, what you're going to need. So I think the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to start with bruising, um, road rash, that kind of thing. Stuff that you would typically maybe have to do um, for a stage makeup. So if somebody's getting into a fight or something or another, you would need a black eye or a cut or something or another along those lines. So, what I started with, because I used to have a lot of that nice makeup, but then unfortunately, I left it in the hands of two people who shall remain nameless. Dad, David Piner. And they made one Kenny Gaylord look like he got drugged behind a truck for like 5 miles. So when I came back to a weekend after shows, all my makeup was gone. Now I have a cheaper version of the palette that I used to have. But starting out, this isn't a bad thing to do. Is to get a cheaper palette to practice with, and then move up when you're more confident and stuff, and buy something um, like the Skin Illustrator PPI FX palette, which is like the holy grail of SFX palettes to do stuff like bruising and makeup and stuff like that. Um, it's really easy to find because it's a really pretty palette and it's got Leonardo da Vinci's Vitruvian Man drawn on the front of it and stuff. They cost like 50. I think the small palette's $55 and the big version of the palette is like $75, and this is like the stuff they use on Broadway and Hollywood and whatnot. And a lot of like serious makeup artists used to do their gore makeup. But to start simple, this is just the Spirit um, doo, 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 the Spirit 7 color makeup palette, and it'll run you $9.99. There's also coupons this week if you want to try this for Halloween. There's a 25% off coupon that I think everybody got in their mail this week, so check your coupons. Um, I'm also going to be using I bought the little makeup application set in here mainly because it comes with an awesome little spatula. Oops, a great little spatula here. It gives you two makeup sponges, regular makeup sponges, and it gives you stipple sponges, which are great for bruising. They're great for road rash. And then just a little brush and little powder applique. So those are all really nice. These are all really good starter things. The application thing was $7.99 for the sponges and stuff. Once you buy one of those the first time, you can go back out and get sponges, at the dollar store or something like that. Stipple sponge is a little harder to find. Sometimes you can find them though at the dollar store where they double as like kitchen cleaner sponges. That'll work. And then I got some spirit gum and spirit gum remover. The applicator thing also came with this really cool um, little palette that you can mix stuff on. That's really helpful. Um, so let me just set those aside so I can get to things. So we're gonna start off, and I'm gonna do the bruises on my arms. I hope I'm not too washed out. I may turn down my light a little bit here. So I'm gonna do the bruising on my arms so that you guys can see a couple of different types of bruising, and then we'll get to more stuff and I'll actually start doing stuff to my face. The first thing that you need to do whenever you want to do like bruise makeup is to take your sponge and take the big block end of it. And if you have fingernails, this really helps. If you don't have fingernails, like I don't have right now because I managed to break all mine off, you can use like a cuticle pusher type thing, and you want to go in here and you want to gouge little holes and or pick you like or take a little pair of tiny scissors and you just want to pull like bits and pieces. I don't know how well that's going to show up in all this crazy light, but you can't really see it until I dip it in makeup. You'll be able to. But you want to gouge out tiny little pieces around your sponge. And that creates these nooks and valleys um, that you will be able to um, use, kind of like in the same way you would use a stipple sponge. So, all right. So I have a couple of bits and pieces picked out of here now. Let me see if I can get one more good gouge in there. Right about there. Yeah, that looks good. Because you don't want it to be square when you're doing this. Because that's square. I mean, unless you ran into something square and have an obvious square bruise, then that's not going to be a thing. So, all right. So the first thing you want to do with this is decide what kind of bruise you have. If it's a fresh bruise, it's going to still be red, kind of purpley, and that's what you're going to want to start with. If it's an older and healing bruise and it's like just started to heal, you're going to fall more into the yellow and green category. And if it is almost a completely fully healed bruise, then you're going to come over here to the yellow, green, brownish categories because that's going to be more of the healing stuff. So we're going to start with this arm and we're going to start with a fresh bruise. So get in here. Whoops. It's a good thing I don't have fingernails because I'm like running my fingers into this. All right, so we got some good bit of red on here. So first thing you want to do is decide where your bruise is going to be. And like I said, unless you run into something specific, it's not going to be like, I don't know if you guys are going to be able to see that or not. Unless you run into something specific, it's not, it's not going to be very in a regular shape. It's going to be kind of weird. It's going to be kind of blotchy. And when we're done with this tonight, I'm also going to take some photos and stuff, and I'll put them up. So once you kind of have the idea of where this is going to go on your arm, I guess next one I'll do on the back of my arm, make it easier on you guys. Once you decide where the bruise is kind of going to be, you need to decide what's going to be the center point, the origin point of your bruise. So with that, you're going to go in, you're going to get some more of the red, more of the fresh red, and you're going to concentrate in the center and make that even more red. And it's nice and blotchy now. Then you want to go in with the same sponge. You want to go in with your darker, with your bruisey purple bruise, and in that center bit. In that center bit where the bruise is going to have the origin, you want to put the purple over the red. Now there's another, most people would just do that. And for stage, far away or whatever, that reads pretty well. But if you want to take it to that extra little bit, that extra little bit, there's an extra little tip. You take a little bit of rubbing alcohol, and you take a little bit of this alcohol, if I can get it open, a paper towel or something. You can use a sponge as well if you want to. This works a little bit better when you have something like that SFX palette, because those are alcohol um, based and activated paints. So when you come in here, you can come in with a little bit of the alcohol, and you can just in the center of this bruise, in the center of the bruise, you kind of pull some of that pigment back out, and that will give a swollen effect. So like that's the origin of where this started. And it's domed or swollen, has that little bit of, you know, rise to it. So there is your fresh bruise, complete with red, 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 red. Well, see if I just, yeah. So complete with red and purple. So that's how you do a fresh bruise. I'm going to use a stipple sponge for this one. So say you want a partially healed bruise. First thing you're going to do is you're going to take your yellow. And take your yellow. And we'll do this on the back of my arm this time. You take your yellow, and once again, it's the same kind of deal. You're going to decide where this bruise is going to go. And you just kind of rub on out. And you start, well, I don't know that this is going to show as well. I'm going to put up some pictures of all of this after the fact so that everybody can get a good look at them. So you start with that. Then you go in with some green. And you just put a little of that green and mix it in with that yellow. And I'm not much fond of that stipple sponge. It's not doing the things I want it to do. So I'm going to rip up this other sponge really quick. There we go. All right, let's try this. So you get a little bit of that green. Oh, that's much better. So we're going to get a little of this green coming over this yellow. And so since this is a healing bruise, once again, you're going to find where you're going to have your center of your bruise be. And put some brown in there. Not a lot, just a little. So you'll have the brown kind of in there. And then you go back with just a little bit of the red because the red is still the blood coagulation underneath the skin. And once more, same deal. You take a little bit of that rubbing alcohol, you find the dead center of your bruise, and you rub out just a little dip right in the middle. And that little dip right in the middle is going to be the origin of the middle of that. And then the healing with the green and the yellow on the outskirts. Just giving that little ugly, ugly green yellow that everybody's knows so awfully well after about a week of healing. And then I worry that this last one isn't going to show up well at all, but we will try. The last one is really just to really, you know, go ham on the yellow and the green. And that is going to be your almost completely healed bruise, which is very yellow with a lot with the green in the center more because it's the last vestiges of what you have, and you can put just a tiny little bit of brown just right in that center, and just you omit the red from it completely, and you don't even have to do like a center thing, but it's, I don't know if you guys will be able to see it or not, possibly not, but like right here, like I said, I'll take some pictures because it's unfortunately my camera's a little washed out. So that is how you would do a good set of bruises for um, for stage. Now, stuff like black eyes and whatnot, dirt, um, that kind of stuff, they're very easy to do with a couple of different things. I had a friend who their son was going as Pigpen for Halloween, and they're like, how do I make my son dirty without totally making my son dirty? So to do that, I ended up telling her what Joyce Allen always taught me. If dirt should be delicious, she used to say, and the reason that is because this is dirt. This is this is dirt for stage. Cocoa powder is your best friend to make things dirty on stage. It goes really well when you put it on your face. It goes for clothes and can be washed out. So it's a real good way to get some dirt going when, and it's a lot cheaper than having to use very expensive um, like eyeshadows and whatnot. So we're gonna do a little bit. So as you can see, just being able to like smudge that on there, you know, it's great if you have to have like a handprint or something to just be able to pour this out in a dish or something, and you put your hand in it, and then you can on a white shirt or something, or like if you need cowboys. We did this in Oklahoma. We use this for a lot of the cowhands in Oklahoma, uh, Greensboro College. Lots of dirty cowboys. Um, this will also come back later because we're going to need this for something else. Black eyes and road rash. So your black eyes and road rash can be done. It's the same principle as um, your bruises and stuff. Purple and red if it's a fresh one. So trying to think of what'll probably be that one as I go between like two palettes because the only red I believe in here is really glittery. I don't think we're going to do a glittery black eye. So between two eyeshadow palettes, I should be able to pull off a nice black eye here. Actually, I may only be able, let me just pull it off with that one. Yeah, I think we're going to put this palette away because there's some stuff in here. Okay, so much better than that. So you want to think about where a black eye is going to go. So you're going to figure if it's going to start, it's usually very much under the eye. Sometimes it does come up a little bit over, but for the most part, a black eye is usually, you know, up under an eye. Excuse me for a moment while I move. I have so much stuff that I don't usually have up here. Um, and try to set a mirror so I can kind of see what I'm doing as I knock everything over. So let's grab a brush out of my millions of brushes. What's one that doesn't have anything on it? I know, I just opened a fresh brush. Haha, you're a fresh brush. And you have purple on it, so you'll work too. Okay. And you'll do. Alright, so these three should be able to do it. Alright. So the first thing you're going to want to start is just kind of like the bruise. The first thing you're going to want to start is with the deeper stuff. So you're going to want your deeper purples in here. So for context, this is just a Morphe palette, the James Charles palette, and any of the more Morphe colored palettes, which are usually like anywhere between $20 and $32 at Ulta, would work. So you're going to start. Unfortunately, it doesn't have a mirror, so I'm having to use my other palette's mirror. So you're going to start on the inside of the eye. And you have to decide how badly you got hit. So, and you kind of follow. And it's never going to be exact. And I know this looks really dark. We're going to pat some of this out. We're going to add some red in and some black. So this looks more 70s Ziggy Stardust, like glam makeup right now, but by the time I'm done, it'll look more like a natural thing. That's why we have multiple brushes. So you've got this purple and you want to start tempering it with um, either some red, or if you've got a burgundy or a brown or something, that'll help too. Gives it that really swollen, angry, and the red's going to go where the eye would be the puffiest. So the purples are going to be more in the corner and stuff, and the red's going to be right through here. And so you just blend that purple into that red. Unfortunately, this brush still has some glitter on it, so I have a very glittery black eye. I was not expecting that. Get that and kind of, because black eyes are kind of blotchy and stuff. And so then, um, if you have a clean brush, it's good to use that or a clean sponge or something just to blend it out, kind of blend it all together. Because you don't want it, unfortunately, with the glitter. It does kind of look like eyeshadow, but you can go in. I've got some, set this right here. I have got, this palette has some nice dark browns to it. So I'm able to use a couple of bits of these dark browns to add to it as well to take away a little of the eyeshadow look and make it more and blend some of this brown around the edge. Just a lot more bruised. So it's not going to take a lot of black eyes and stuff because that are going to be very blotchy. It's not going to take up your whole eye. Like you want it to concentrate because the black eye, from here is going to radiate out. So some of them can come further down. You can see here I have a little extra bit of swelling, like a busted capillary, or where it would be like something like that, and that's fine, because they are very irregular, um, and you may have a little bit here and there, and you just kind of dab it out very gently, blend it in, and there you go. You can even use a little black in the corners and stuff, outline the eye line. You can use your eyeliner, which you'd probably already have on if you were doing a play. Um, Sorry, for some reason, I'm not seeing comments. So if you guys are asking me things, I'm not seeing it, unfortunately. Uh, so let's see here. So there's that. Um, if you want to do a healed uh, eye, it would be the same concept. You would just use the other bruise color palette where you're going to be more in the browns and the greens and the yellows. And that would be what you would use for that. So for road rash, so say I got a black eye and then somebody knocked me down on the ground underneath this eye and scraped up my cheek. So if I was going to do that, we go back to this again. And what you want to do is say you got in there and you got a bunch of grit in your face. gravel, what have you. Oof. For this, you use the stipple sponge, which is very porous, and you just put this in a regular shape. So I've got a little road rash here. So you do this in an irregular shape. Then you go back in with your red, your bruise red that you have, and it'll mix a little bit in with your black. But that's cool. That's what you want. So you really get some, load this up with some red. Then you do one or two of your red splotch. Then you take a corner and you take that red splotch and you drag. So now you can see where I took like the red and I just drug it across my skin. And it has a very grainy, the stipple sponge gives it a very grainy, like I just rubbed my face against asphalt like a cat would rub its face up against your leg. So, and that will just give you this very grainy, bloody looking scratch. And then you would go in on top of that and add in your blood, which is what we're going to get to next. Like I said, love Ben Nye Stage Blood. I have used it 20 odd years. I love Ben Nye products. They're some of the best stage products that you can get. But not everybody has Ben Nye money. If you're with a theater that has Ben Nye money, awesome. For SFX makeup, if you're not, then it is very possible to make your own blood. And it is very easy. And there are different types of blood you can make. And tonight I'm going to show you how to make one. And then I'm going to tell you how to make another. Because I feel like they're for two very different things. So the first thing you're going to need is something to mix in. I have my whisk. And you're going to need four things. And the first thing you're going to need, and this is what most people are um, used to when they hear about blood. This is the edible blood. This is good for putting in your mouth. This is good for it's on your face and stuff like that. So you need yourself some light corn syrup. Any type, Karo or Harris Teeter brand as this is, you need yourself some light corn syrup. That's number one. The second thing you're going to need is here's our Hershey's cocoa has come back into play. So your cocoa powder. And then the next thing you're going to need after that is some really good red food coloring. And I don't know, you guys, this is AmeriColor Super Red. Red is very hard to make, usually. So there is what is, and black is very hard to make. So there is literally super red food coloring and super black. I make a lot of cakes, so I have to have super red or I have super pink icing. And there, Lightning McQueen is not pink. Lightning McQueen is very much red. So what you're going to do is this is kind of an eyeball. It's kind of just how much blood do you need? So you want to take this and something in here. Let's take this and then just kind of pour what it is that you're going to want. I don't want a whole heck of a lot because I don't need a whole heck of a lot. So I'm just going to do a tiny little bit. Like, come on, a little bit more than that probably. Glub, glub, glub. Okay. Oh, that's plenty, I believe. Okay. So, you're going to take this. And most people will tell you all you need is the corn syrup and the food coloring. Um, I digress for that. I feel like you need some sort of powder in it, and some people will use flour in it. In my mind, that makes it taste horrible. It's still edible, but it's not good. So, what you can do is you can use just a tiny bit, and you can use your little spatula for this. You get yourself your tiny bit of, since I'm not making all that much, of cocoa powder in there. And you get your whisk, and you just start mixing. And this will make, I'm gonna need, I'm gonna need more corn syrup, definitely. Well, I didn't think I was gonna make a lot of blood. I was wrong. I'm gonna make probably more blood than I need. All right. Boop. All right. Yeah. That's better. All right. So now when you look at this, it looks something that's like akin to chocolate or caramel. So we're gonna add in the red here. A square bit was probably not the best because there's a corner here. I probably would have been better served using a circular bulb. So now we're going to take some of the super red, which I now have all over my fingers. I'm trying to be very careful. I do not want this all over my couch. So a couple of drops of super red. So this, luckily, the super red is so dark that I may not even need, yeah, I'm not even need, if you are making blood and, uh, if you're making blood and you're mixing it up, this is actually the perfect color without it, and you're mixing it up and it's too red and it looks really fake. One of the things that you can do is drop a bit of purple, just one dot of purple or one dot of dark blue inside it. And as any art major will tell you, that will just darken it immediately. It doesn't change it to purple or anything like that. But because of the cocoa powder that we have in here already, and because the super red is exactly AmeriColor does not play around, I have some now glorious dark red ooey gooey blood. The good thing about this is it is about the tastiest thing that is has definitely sugar and chocolate, and it's delicious, and it is sticky. So if you take a little of this, so I don't want to do it on my mic side. So over here where I have my road rash, I need my mirror. Do my road rash over here. So usually you would take a Q-tip or something with this, but you can do it with your finger, you could do it with a Q-tip, you could do it with a stipple sponge, however you want. And there you go. You have a lovely bit of blood. Um, you could get a big drop and put it on and let it like run and let it run down your face. Um, Depending on how high you start, and sometimes I've actually gotten it to run down my face in like a perfect drop, like doing the vampire thing. You can start at the corner of your mouth and it will drop, and if you lay your head back and just lean there for a while and um let it sit flat, then it will and then when you get back up after it gravity has done its course and it's stuck to you, that drop will just stay there. It's really cool looking when you get it right. As long as you're okay with there being something super sticky on your face like the entire night. So if you're okay with that, then this is awesome. Now, there are sometimes you need, like, say you're doing a haunted house or something, and you need like gallons of blood. Um, Making a lot of corn syrup blood for like jars or to throw out in the yard over sheets and stuff like that, that's not um that's not gonna work as well because of the fact that like that's sweet stuff's gonna attract ants, bugs, animals, all sorts of stuff. You don't want to do that. If you are looking to make blood to throw on other stuff and you still want this like, awesome congealed look, you can still get that. You can definitely get that by using some other stuff. The easiest thing that I know that one can do is to use cornstarch. You can take cornstarch and you can put it in you take it's 4 cups of boiling water for each one of these, and then you put the cornstarch in, like any good southern lady would tell you, sift it, because you know hot cornstarch into hot water, or flour into hot water, hot broth is going to give you lumpy gravy. And you don't want the lumps in it. So sift your cornstarch over your boiling water and like with one hand while you constantly whisk with the other. If you do that, you won't have lumps. And as you continue to uh, mix it, you will end up with, as it cooks and stuff, and then you cut the heat, or turn the heat down to a simmer and keep stirring it, it'll start to thicken up. So to that, you would add your super red, um, your dot of blue if you need it. But what you would want to do um, with that is to add instant coffee to give you that rusty blood look. And the thing with that is kind of like this, it will congeal a little bit. Um, so you can, depending on how much cornstarch you add, it's if you add a lot to one batch, it's great for like guts and stuff and putting it around because it will actually congeal and it looks really, really gross. So that is very much something you can do as well. So the last two things I'm going to show you, I'm going to put this blood somewhere where it doesn't like get knocked over and spill all over my floor. Pardon me for 1 minute while I get rid of that. Yeah, you just stay out of the way. So so the last two things we're gonna do right quick is some quick zombie flaky skin, and I'm gonna show you a little bit about how to make scar wax, um, a temporary scar wax. This is good for, like I said, stage where the you're not gonna be out there any more than like 2 hours, because this scar wax after a while kind of gets kind of flaky and will just kind of flake off. So it's great for photo shoots and it's great for stage stuff. Not great for like long all day wear, but it's good for a little bit. So the first thing you're gonna want to do is The first thing you're going to want to do is find some Vaseline. Vaseline is the first thing. Sorry, I'm trying to get all my ducks in a row here. So Vaseline is going to be the first thing that you want. So you're going to just flip into your Vaseline. And I don't want to use all of this because this is all the Vaseline we have in the house. Alright, so whoop, well, trying not for stuff to turn over here. Alright, so you get yourself a couple of pats of Vaseline. About that much. Like I said, we're not going to do a whole lot. We're just going to make a little bit to play with. So you get your Vaseline and you get a small container to mix it in. And then you take something that I wouldn't have ever thought. Some all-purpose flour. And you take some all-purpose flour and you put a little bit in with your Vaseline. And this is very much a feel thing than it is a being able to see from your eye thing. It is very much a texture thing. So you get your Vaseline in there. And you start mixing. And depending on the yellow content of your Vaseline will depend on how pale your scar wax is. So what you're looking for with your scar wax here is you want to be able to play with it almost like Play-Doh. It should be able to roll up into your hand without totally sticking to your fingers into a little ball. And if it's sticky and sticks to your fingers, it's not done yet and you need to add more flour. If it starts crumbling like old Play-Doh would, you need to add more Vaseline. So right now, as I roll this, you can see it's sticking to my hands. So that means it is definitely not ready and I need more flour. So add a little more flour in there. And start mixing that into the flour. The mixing of this can take a little bit. I have seen videos mostly of people and from experience, if you watch videos of people making this, they usually time lapse this part because it is pretty crazy. So you just gotta keep mashing it in there. And getting it all mixed in together. And it will finally come together, which I think we have. Sometimes you just got to get your hands in there. All right. Yay! Success. Great success. All right, so we've got some of this now. So when you're done, like I said, it should be a tacky ball that's not sticking to your hands, but is slightly sticky. You should be able to, like Play-Doh or whatever, roll it into a worm, roll it into a ball, do whatever. You can then color this with different things. If you need to make like red puffy scars, you can take a cream red makeup to do so. You can take your foundation and mix it in to make it your skin color because that is the ultimate of what you are trying to do with this. Scars are like usually slightly whiter than your own skin, but you want to make it blend into your skin seamlessly. And that's what you're going for scars. So if you were trying to do just a scar on the back of your hand, you would try to get, let me see if I can get a good worm going here with a tiny piece. So you would put a worm on the back of your hand, kind of like this. So if you want it to stick, this is where your spirit gum would come into play. You would take your spirit gum, put it on the back of your hand, let it dry for a couple of minutes, and then touch it with your finger and make it nice and tacky. And that's when you would lay this down on top of it. I don't want to have to make you guys wait for that long, so I'm not gonna do that right now. But then after that, you would take your spatula. I've seen people do it with sculptor tools. I'm a cake decorator, so I have cake decorating tools. But you put your thing up here, and then you would just press one half of this scar wax into your skin, and you smooth it down. And the Vaseline makes it so that it really smooths down into your skin. So if you're just going for some sort of raised scar, you want to make sure you get your ends and you leave like this little middle part up. Um, you can make your like Fight Club scar or whatever out of this. So you would just sit here, you decide what your scar is going to look like, what the path is. Do you have a really rigid scar? Is it a less subtle scar? You would hold the top of it. So basically when you're done, and there we go. If I pull back some, you guys can see it. I've got this like scar on my hand. And then you would take your, you can take your foundation and put your foundation here on take a little bit of your foundation on your sponge. And you match your skin tone. And like I said, I'm gonna have to take some pictures so you guys can see close up. But you would take your pictures, match your skin tone. Let me see if I cut this light right quick if you guys can see any better. Yeah, that works. Okay. So, without the bright light, you guys can see that you just really press in the edges of it. And then you can go through and you can do whatever you want. You can make the scar as gruesome as you want. This is, like I said, just would be like a line scar. So you would just blend the edges in with some foundation. And then put a little powder over top of it to take away the translucent shine of both the Vaseline and of your foundation to make it look more to blend into your hand. Now, if you want to do like an open wound cut type of thing, you would do the same thing, except you would lay a second worm, and then you would take little bits out and put it in the middle and color that little bit red or yellow to look like little fat deposits, depending on how deep somebody cut into your skin. And then add in your blood and stuff um, over that, and that's how you make an open, a more open gaping wound. So like here's my other scar bit, and if I was to kind of do this, so like that would be like the foundations for some sort of um, open wound on the hand, where you would just press this down and into the skin to blend in. It's good to have a sharp tool when you're doing this so you can make jagged lines and edges and more defining stuff. A good thing to use, like I said, if you have pottery tools um, or if you have cake decorating tools, since I mean, this is nothing but Vaseline and flour, it's easy to wash to be able to use them as cake decorating tools again because there's nothing toxic. And the majority of face paints, unless you're using something very strange, are very much non-toxic because we wouldn't be able to put them on our skin. So there's nothing you can't just wash wash away. But something sharp to make defined edges and stuff, and to make it look even more deeply gouged. Um, but something sort of like this. And then you would go in with a red piece and go in here, which I can just, if I can get past my chocolate and everything else, and just find a little brush. So you would take, bits of your red and get in here. Well, this is not wanting to cooperate. This red. Let's see, where's my alcohol? If I add a little alcohol to this, does that? Oh, that helps. Let's see if that helps. Loosen this red paint up some. It could be the brush too. This brush is pretty harsh. Yeah, that helps a little bit. But yeah, you see, you can get in there with the red. You would take other little chunky bits of like your scar wax, and you would get it in here and get it in the yellow and make it look like little fat deposits. And then when you're all said and done with your red bit in the middle and your little fat deposits, then you would go back over it at the end with your blood, and then it would look like blood oozing out over, and that's how you get your open wounds and cuts. We're getting close to an hour now, so I want to go over one more thing before I leave you guys tonight for the last time for this month, um, and that is flaking skin for zombies. It's so much easier than you think it is. A lot of people think you have to go and buy a bunch of stuff. Kids, especially, say they want to be zombies, but then they don't want to sit for a lot of prosthetics and makeup and stuff. It is as easy as quick oats. It is literally all you need is to make a good zombie skin is some oatmeal. So what you want to do is you want to get in here, set your base. And I'm just going to go for a little white and green. I'm going to move this up and whoops, not not mic so far up that you can't that it cuts off and you can't hear me. Let me try that again. All right, there's my mirror. Oh, I hope I don't get mess all over the velvet of this. All right, so I'm gonna start with just some white. I was talking about midnight makeup and stuff like that, but I will tell you the best scary makeup I ever had done on me was Fruma Sarah when we did Fiddler on the Roof. And I can't remember who we brought in, but it was the first big, huge musical we did at the Playhouse. And they brought in some people to do some makeup. And when they did, this one lady had this bin eye, and it was one I had never seen before. And it was literally called Bone. And it was better and scarier than any white makeup I have ever used to make myself pale. I looked sick. Like like I belonged in a hospital bed. Beyond dead. They put it on my lips and I just looked like a walking corpse. And it was crazy because I had to do that and then I had a scene like I had opening scenes and crowd scenes where I had regular makeup on. Then I had to run to the back, put that bone makeup on over top of that. And then when the Fruma Sarah dream sequence was over, I had to be back out there again like a scene or two later. So I had to go back in the back again and put foundation over the bone makeup because it didn't have time to take it off and put a new thing of foundation on. So I had to put foundation on over that and then put more blush in my cheeks and more eyeshadow and more lipstick on to make me look not dead again. And it wasn't until intermission that I got to go in and take everything off and then put more makeup on again for the second act. That was the most intense makeup show I have ever been in. So, what you want to do with your rolled oats makeup is just really get a good foundation of whatever color you're going with. Whether it be white, whether it be green, whether it be yellow, whatever it is that you're going to go in here with and make yourself look like a very sick, awful zombie kind of bit. So you get that on there. This is the messy part. This is the part where I'm gonna do this. So this is the part where you take your oats and then you sit here with something under your face. You kind of lean back a bit and you start pressing rolled oats into your face. You can use spirit gum too if you want to, some extra, but the whole point of this is that it's flaky and it's supposed to look like flaky skin. So, like I said, I have a little bit of cheaper makeup right now. This is not sticking. Oat in my mouth. This is not sticking nearly as good as it would normally do with some of the other more wet makeups. Um, so what you do is you wait for this to adhere and stick to your skin, and then you go back over it um, with more makeup. I've hit pan on these already. So you would, once it's completely stuck, you go back in here and you pat over the makeup. And if some bits fall off, it's fine. The ones that stick and stay are the ones that you'll end up working around. and that's when you use all your um, blood and guts, and your more of your your corn syrup blood and stuff over top of it, anywhere where it flakes off or something, and then you look like you have blood running out of where the skin has peeled off. But this is how you start. Let's see once again if it just shows up. Lots of white on white ends up not showing up as well. So this is how you start with it, putting it on, and then you pat on top of it. You leave it there for a little bit. Like I said, spirit gum will really make it stick. If you're not wanting to cover your child's face in spirit gum, understandable. Get a really good clown white or a really good whatever that's wet. That's more wet. This is very dry and it's not sticking as well. And I unfortunately don't have any of my clown white on me right now. I think it's in our storage unit. So if you can get a good clown white, a wet clown white, you stick this on and then you go over with, once it's nice and stuck, you go over with other stuff. If you're just doing one patch or something, like one little bit on your cheek or something like that, you can use the spirit gum method where you put spirit gum on, wait for it to get tacky, tap it with your fingers until it's all tacked up. And once it's all tacked up, then you're going to want to, once it's all tacked up, you just want to go ahead and uh, paint over it, and then use your blood and everything else. But other than that, we've got covered black eyes, road rash, scars, cuts, bruising and stuff. I will take pictures of a lot of this stuff. I'll see if I can't go find some clown white or some more wet uh, makeup, um, and be able to take some pictures and put them up on the Playhouse site as well for people. But I just wanted to say it's been a lot of fun this month, being able to do all these nice virtual things with you guys. We have one more coming up, and that is going to be Miss Sammy Campbell on Thursday, who's going to teach you guys how to do some beautiful, beautiful, beautiful um, fantasy makeup for Halloween. I'm not quite sure what she's doing. I'm really, really excited to see what she has planned for us. And then Sunday, we will have an announcement about what we're going to be doing for November, and we're hoping to get a lot more of you guys out there involved with us. So, excuse me, excuse me, excuse me. So, last thing to say is, I guess, happy Halloween, everybody. And we will talk to you again soon. Bye.